Hey, what's up, everybody? It's KBR Sports, the best sports talk show, your 24-hour day, and it's just one day before the Super Bowl, so I hope everybody's getting ready and getting themselves set for the Super Bowl, getting their Super Bowl preparations and all the food and their plans and stuff in order, because it's probably one of the biggest, it's like the biggest day that's not a holiday, and it seems like for everybody's calendars. Everybody gets together to watch the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is the biggest day of like the sports calendar year. And it's the one day that you feel like it's sort of like Thanksgiving, Christmas, all those other holidays and stuff, where a lot of times people just put aside all their differences and stuff together and just come together to watch one thing in conjunction with one another, regardless of race, difference, ethnicity, religion, all that. So I'm really excited for the Super Bowl tomorrow. We're going to hopefully have another good one. And most of the Super Bowls the Patriots are in, pretty much all of them, are all close games. So hopefully we're in store for another great Super Bowl and another great Super Bowl ending, just like the one we got last year. But y'all, don't forget, make sure you all follow and subscribe to KBR Sports Podcast. We're going on Rabble TV, Spreaker, YouTube, iTunes, and SoundCloud. Also, don't forget to follow the KBR Sports Twitter page. I go into KBR_sports, where you can find the live links and past show podcasts that are posted on there. So make sure you go follow that. Also, don't forget, you can comment, like, and share the KBR Sports Podcast for number one, just to show your support of the podcast, and two, to give your feedback on anything that may be getting discussed on the show. So for tonight's show, it's going to be a real quick segment, man. I'm just giving my Super Bowl picks. Y'all don't know. I've been thinking about this down to the wire, because I feel like this is one of those games that everybody's going to be like, oh, it's overwhelmingly, obviously, people are going to pick New England. And it's one of those things that a lot of the reasons why people are picking New England is because Nick Foles is the Eagles quarterback. And if it wasn't Nick Foles and it was Carson Wentz, you might see it even out a little bit more, with more people picking the Eagles to win as opposed to New England. But I feel like it's one of those things where a lot more people are going to riding with riding with New England, just because of the fact that they believe in Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. And as it would have it, I'm one of those people that is going to be ended up riding with the Patriots, because it's just tough for me to believe that the Patriots are going to have. It's back to back. They're the only team in recent history that has won a back-to-back Super Bowl, dating back to the early 2000s, and I just feel like they're on such a high ride right now. But it's the same thing with the Eagles. Pretty much every team that gets to the Super Bowl is on a high ride. But Tom Brady's playing at a high level right now. He's gonna most likely be the NFL MVP. I'm pretty sure he's gonna win the NFL MVP, because Todd Gurley just won the AP Offensive Player of the Year award. Offensive Player of the Year award. So it's going to pretty much be Tom Brady who wins the MVP. So without a doubt, the Patriots are going to be rolling in with Tom Brady as rolling with the MVP. And when you just look at the base stats of each team going up against each other, yes, Nick Foles has played great in the playoffs. Excuse me. He played in his last game against Minnesota. He was great. He had a 78.8 completion percentage, threw for 352 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He averaged 10.7 yards per attempt and had a 141 passer rating. So that's really good. And the Eagles as a team are just a really defiant team. They're that team that has taken on the underdog persona and take a lot of pride in it. That's why you saw a lot of these Eagles players were wearing the dog mask. You have their fans now wearing the little dog mask, because they see themselves as underdogs. Even despite them being the number one overall seed in the NFL this season, you see them trying to identify with that underdog mentality, because they don't want to get caught up in that. They want that chip on their shoulder better per se. I was gonna say something else, but the best way to describe it is that they have that chip on their shoulder. That is honestly the best way you can describe it. That chip on their shoulder is what they feel as though is what's carrying them to playing at this high level. What carries their intensity? What leads them to being able to feel like, hey, we're getting counted out by everybody in the country. Nobody's giving us a chance to beat Tom Brady. Nobody's giving us a chance to beat Bill Belichick. Everybody's saying that we're that new upstart team that doesn't feel like that we should be here. Everybody feels like the Saints should have been here. People feel like Minnesota should have been here. But we're here, and we're trying to prove the whole world wrong. And that's the reason why that you give credit to the Eagles, and you see that persona has been taken on by their team. Despite the injuries this team has had, and when I say injuries, y'all, I mean injuries. Like this, let me just list you some of the injuries they have. And this is for like the season prior to this. Obviously, the biggest injury being Carson Wentz, who suffered a torn ACL in his left knee. Then you have a guy like Darren Sproles, who had a torn ACL and a broken arm. then you also have other guys like Jason Peters, who tore his ACL and his MCL and his right knee and was put on injury reserve. Their starting kicker, Caleb Sturgis, has strained his quadricep and his plant leg and wasn't able to be activated anytime soon. Fletcher, and now let's look at some of the people that are going to be playing in the Super Bowl. Fletcher Cox has a calf injury. He's expected to play. Even Nick Foles, a quarterback, has an injury. Jay Ajayi has an ankle injury. Other guys, a lot of Philly players actually are dealing with illnesses that a lot of the country is dealing with at this point in time. Particularly people on the East Coast are dealing with a lot of sickness and whatnot. I don't know what it is. Is this a flu bug that's going around that's getting everybody? But it's one of those things that it seems to have hit Philly hard. But then you look on the New England side of things, and you always see that it seems like New England's just normally always prepared. They do have some of their own things that they're dealing with as well. Tom Brady, of course, with his hand, but hasn't been as big a deal. Malcolm Butler has the flu. Rob Gronkowski, he did get clear from his concussion. You have Malcolm Brown, one of their defensive linemen. He has a knee issue. You have Mike Gillisley, who has a knee, who also is dealing with a knee, who's probable for the game. Alan Branch, one of the defensive tackles. Brandon King, a defensive back. Devin McCourty has a shoulder injury. Like, you just have so many injuries that pile up on both sides. At this point in time in this season, everybody is injured. So it's not like it's one of those things where you're surprised to see the increasing tallying numbers of injuries. But it just, in the Super Bowl, essentially, it always comes down to will of wills and execution. The past 2 Super Bowls have been won by the team that executed the most. And when the Patriots played the Falcons, it came down to execution. The Falcons struggled to execute when it mattered most. They didn't run the right plays. They didn't do the simple things to win them the game. And the Patriots did not. The Patriots had the will to be able to come back down from a 28-3 deficit, where they were able to come back and win that Super Bowl. And you see, it's funny because you see that report from a few days ago where Arthur Blank, the Atlanta Falcons owner, just now was complaining about the fact that he complained to Robert Kraft that he felt like it was messed up that the Patriots got 283 rings specifically in their championship rings to signify about their comeback. And it's one of those things, I mean, I don't want to go off the rails here, but it's one of those things that's funny to me. I'm like, why would you complain about that? Your team should have done what they did to win the ring. You wouldn't have to complain about 283 diamond rings or diamonds in a championship ring if your team would have just ran the football or done what they would have just done conventional play calling, and that would have suited that situation and time that would have led them to winning. If they would have done that, you guys would have been the Super Bowl champions, but they didn't. So the opposing team can do whatever they want with their rings. Like, to me, that's just complaining over spilled grapes, in my opinion. But back to my overall point, what I was saying is you see that execution in the Super Bowl was huge, and the one reason why I'm electing to go with the Patriots and Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and that defense and those guys is because what are the one thing the Patriots always do that everybody always lauds them about? It's their execution. They always execute. They're always at the top of the pack when it comes down to executing. When it comes down to they have a strong resolve. They never give up. Tom Brady is so competitive that you see in the NFL films, documentaries, you see him on the sideline. He's barking at guys. He's never pretty much taking his foot off the gas pedal because he realizes, hey, you're never out of the game until the clock hits triple zeros. And it's one of those things that, and I'm one of those people. I want to also give credit to the Patriots defense. I don't want to just give it all to Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick spearheads the defense, but I know it's a lot of times people always say, "Well, Tom, you don't ever want to go against Tom. You don't want to count you don't ever want to try and go against Tom Brady." But it's not just Tom Brady. Tom Brady only plays on one side of the football. It is that defense as well, and the way Bill Belichick coaches that defense. That defense has stepped up in multiple Super Bowls. In the Super Bowl against the Seahawks, it wasn't Tom Brady that won that team the game. It was the Seahawks defense that won them the game. Tom Brady gave them the lead, yes, but it was the Patriots defense that won them the game. I don't know if I said offense or not, but I'm just correcting myself just in the case I did. But it was the Patriots defense that made the play with Malcolm Butler picking off Russell Wilson on the goal line that made that play. You don't come back from a 28-3 deficit if your defense isn't keeping that opposing offense to multiple 3 and outs and getting your offense on the field to be able to make plays to come back from being 28-3 down. So let's try to always give credit back to the defense, where a lot of times we like to just heap credit and praise onto the quarterback. Let's try and give some credit to the defense and the defensive coaching that goes down as well. So that's my prediction for this game. When I look at how both teams performed throughout the regular season, now we have seen a lot of postseason play, but when I see it, the Patriots are that team that has always been about bending but not breaking on defense. For at least for this season, they're 5th in scoring defense and 29th in yards allowed. So you're seeing that teams are able to drive the field on the Patriots, but they're just not able to get into the end zone on them. The Eagles are all around the 4th best defense in the league. They're 4th in yards and points scored. So you're seeing that the Eagles are just that fully formed defense. Now, it fully formed defense. The Jacksonville Jaguars are the best defense in the league by some metrics, and the Patriots, you saw they were able to overcome that roadblock. So it'll be interesting to see how these will come to meet up, because then you see the Patriots offense, they were the 2nd scoring offense in the league and the 1st in yards. So it'll be definitely interesting to see how it comes down, boils down, because it's all the numbers and stuff are fancy, they're all nice, they're all cool, but when it comes down to the moment, when it comes down to the big moment, the Super Bowl moment, the Super Bowl is not like any other game. You have 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl, so you better believe guys get nervous. They're hearing all their relatives tell them, hey, you can become a champion, your name can be always forever etched into franchise history, NFL history. You'll always be known as a champion. When you get introduced, you'll no longer be just introduced just as, I'm just gonna give a name here, let me who's for. Oh, okay. Let me just give a name. For example, you'll no longer just be introduced as Nick Foles. You'll be introduced as Nick Foles and a Super Bowl champion, or a former Super Bowl champion Nick Foles. You'll always have that tag with you. You'll always be known as a champion. You're not just known as your regular self anymore. Even if you move on to whatever post-career profession, you'll be acknowledged as a champion. Whenever you're on the set of any TV show or anything, in the tag headline, they'll always say Super Bowl champion, or they'll say the Super Bowl that you played in, and like if you played in Super Bowl like was 53, they'll put the tag Super Bowl 53, and then they'll have your name sitting right there. And that's one of those things that you're forever etched in history. And there's a lot of pressure that comes with that. It's not like these guys just go into these games and they're pressure free. No, there's a lot of pressure that comes with the Super Bowl. You have the whole week, the 2 weeks leading up to it, in which you're prepping. The thing is, the coaches, depending on the team now, you would assume that Bill Belichick knows how to handle his team, at least at this point, and he knows that how to make his team feel comfortable at this point, and knows how to make them feel like, okay, we're gonna try and be. See, the news just broke right now. Tom Brady is the MVP. What did I say? I said it. Tom Brady's gonna be named MVP just because this is what they normally do when one guy wins, either like they did this a few years ago with Adrian Peterson and Peyton Manning. I think Peyton Manning won the Comeback Player of the Year, and then Adrian Peterson won the NFL MVP award, and Peyton Manning won the Offensive Player of the Year award, I believe. I'm not sure if Adrian Peterson won both awards or if he won just the MVP and Peyton took the Comeback Player of the Year award. But normally when a player gets the MVP or a player gets an Offensive Player, they'll normally give it to the top 2 candidates in that category for whoever's going to get Offensive Player of the Year or whoever's going to get MVP. So yeah, the Patriots are going to be riding in with Tom Brady leading them as the MVP, and that he's the oldest quarterback to ever win and the oldest player to ever win an MVP at the age of 40 in the NFL to win an MVP award, and it's his 3rd MVP award. So this is the seasoned guy you're going into battle with. So it's going to be interesting to see how Bill Belichick gets the rest of the players and everybody, and Tom is getting ready to lead these guys, into play tomorrow. And you're going to see the Eagles on the front side. It's going to be a first time for a lot of guys. You're seeing a lot of guys that are coming back, like Chris Long and LeGarrette Blount. They were just here a year ago with the Patriots, so they will be the more experienced vets in the locker room that will kind of be easing guys' nerves, because a lot of times in this most recent week, that the week that we just passed, you start practice on Wednesdays. They normally start practice on Wednesdays because Tuesdays are normally off days, but you're trying to keep it as normal as a regular season game as possible. So they're going to probably started practicing and stuff on Wednesday and started doing their prep and film review and all that, trying to make it seem as normal as possible for these guys to be able to, not make it feel like it's a bigger game than what it is, but everybody feels those nerves. A lot of times you hear a lot of former players say that they didn't really get into the flow of the game. They didn't really get like, they were tired at the start of the game because you have so much energy being put in, so much anxiety, so much anticipation coming into the game. So when the game actually starts, you're kind of winded. Like, you need to catch your breath. So you need, like, catch your breath, like literally catch your breath. And it's one of those things that you see that you're going to notice a lot of players that they're going to be antsy. You're going to see some guys dropping balls. At least the less experienced people are going to be like dropping balls. You're going to see palms getting sweaty and all that stuff. But as the game goes on, you start to just feel like it's a normal game. Like, you start to feel at the course of the game, it is just a normal game, and you start to get back into the regular flow of the game. So I'm definitely excited for this Super Bowl. I'm hyped for it, man. I'm excited. I got the Patriots winning it. My score I have is going to be, I'm going to have it be Patriots 24, Eagles 20. That's gonna be my official score that I have for this game. Whoever wants to go with that score, if you want to bet on that score, that's up to you. I'm not advising you to do so, but that's gonna be my official score. Patriots are gonna take it 24-20. Tom Brady's gonna be the Super Bowl MVP, and that's how I'm predicting it, y'all. But I appreciate everybody that's tuned in for this podcast, and remember that you also follow and subscribe to the KBR Sports Podcast at Rabble TV, Spreaker, YouTube, iTunes, and SoundCloud. Also, don't forget to follow the KBR Sports Twitter page at KBR_sports with a live link to show topics and tweeted prior to every single show. And don't forget to comment, like, and share the podcast just to show your support for the KBR Sports Podcast and to get some feedback on any sports topics that you want to hear talked about or anything that I talked about on the show. All right, y'all, enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday. Everybody be safe. Make sure you guys don't party too hard, because the next day, unfortunately, Super Bowl Sunday is not a technical holiday, so the next day most people do normally have to get to work. So make sure you guys stay safe, party hard, bless safely. All right, everybody, have a great night. Enjoy the Super Bowl.